So I want to say thank you for the first video that I put out to the people who came in and left really positive comments. When I made that first video, I was thinking to myself, am I going to do this? Am I going to follow through? I mentioned in that video that I don't really like to put myself out there like that, even though I work in the media space. But it was really inspiring and refreshing, because I think in the back of your head, the pessimist in you says that you're gonna feel like, or you're gonna experience the internet trolls, and people are gonna have comments, and I just, you hope for the best in humanity, and I gotta say that you guys are awesome. The feedback was really great. Today I wanted to make this video to share with you the pep talk, or the lecture that I think we all need. I know that I needed it. I didn't get it, and I ended up having to give it to myself. But it's the pep talk, or the lecture, if you will, that you need, that nobody around you is willing to give you. If you're somebody who has been struggling with your weight, your physical health, if you're eating like shit and you feel like crap all the time, you got to get a grip. You got to get a good long look at yourself. And here's what happened with me. I got into more detail in my first video. I talked about the inflammation. I talked about the pain. But I want to dive into a little bit more about what my relationship with food looked like, and what I was seeing going on around me in respect of other people's observation of me. So I've embraced vulnerability, and that's a big part of this development process for myself. But I used to have this saying, this theme that was, I'd rather die fat and happy than skinny and miserable. What a crazy thing to say, because in retrospect, was I ever really living? I don't think so. I was struggling. So I don't know that I would have actually died happy. That's not where I was. Your brain is such an incredible thing when you allow it to run its own course and guide you down these terrible decisions. And my relationship with food was that of a celebratory relationship. I mean, if you think about how our culture is here in America anyway, food is a big part of every celebration. I think the psyche behind that is that we then associate food as some kind of reward, and we turn to it as a comfort component. And I can tell you that in my own life, as I was experiencing any sort of either success, which would lead to going out and spending ridiculous amounts of money in restaurants and celebrating, whether it was, buying a bottle of whatever, or it was, just on principle buying the biggest steak, but then hoofing down all the sides with macaroni and cheese and baked potatoes and all the crap that is just absolutely terrible for us. You do that because that's your relationship with food, and while you're in it, and I think it should be treated very much like somebody who's struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. Your food is just your substance rather than it being alcohol or some drug. And so that relationship that you have with that is that one of dependence. It is a misappropriation of that substance, that item. The fact that when you're having a bad day or you're depressed, that you would go sit on your couch and you would eat a bag of chips, or maybe it's cookies. I remember, Krispy Kreme donuts. We would just randomly eat a whole entire box of them, and I think a lot of people can do that. It's not that that's a rare thing. Even some of the skinniest, fittest people I can see puffing down a box of those donuts, and man, is that something I can tell you that I would miss. But I don't miss how I felt afterward. It's a funny thing how our brain works and what it convinces us to do. And I think about the way that my family, my friends were around me, and the discussions that we had around that subject. It was like, oh, I want to eat healthy. This is what I want to do, but we wouldn't. And my friends and family would just allow me to take the role as being the humorous, sort of comedic person when it came to that subject matter. Again, the theme being that I would rather die fat and happy than skinny and miserable, and that I even went as far as making a joke one time and saying that it was the new year, and I told everybody that I was going on a diet, and it was called the Monarch diet. And of course, like everybody, who's intrigued by what, oh, this is the new thing. What's the diet? So my joke was that I'm going on the Monarch diet. And they said, oh, well, what is it? I said, well, it's I eat whatever I want, and I feel like a king, and I don't care about anything else. It's called the Monarch diet. I eat whatever the fuck I want, and I feel like a king. I feel great doing it. Yeah, even as I say that right now, like it is like a little piece of my soul that just cracked off, because I can't believe that was my mentality. As funny as it is in its context, it's not funny when you actually believe that, and that is what I actually believed. It's hard to talk about that, because as you say that, it sort of scratches at me, and it reminds me that how unhealthy I was, not only physically but mentally. And I think about the position that I put my family and friends in there, because I know, especially now, and as sometimes I've found myself in a conversation where I've told my family, like, why wouldn't you say something to me? Why wouldn't you let me know that you were that concerned, or that I had that much of a problem? I mean, again, over 500 pounds. So, but I was in my own head saying that someday, hopefully, I'll get a grip of this. That's scary, because for them, they definitely didn't know what to say, other than sometimes the obvious, which was, I just want you to be healthy. It makes me nervous that you're carrying around all this weight, and I don't, we want you around as long as possible. And that was as much as they can say. But sometimes you need to be faced with some level of consequence. You need somebody that's willing to sort of verbally slap you in the face or punch you in the gut, so that you get a little bit of a wake-up call. And you have to realize what's going on around you. And in looking back right now, I do realize that I probably put a lot of people in a lot of uncomfortable positions. I mean, they wanted to have empathy for me when I would show up and I'd be sweating and hoofing and I couldn't walk somewhere. Rather than making a big deal of it, I know that my friends and family maybe would change the plans, or they would already have some kind of plan for whatever the situation was, they made some kind of plans that would address their concern. An example, friends of mine would show up at a restaurant. If we were going to meet out somewhere, friends of mine would try to get there first so that they can ask for a table, because they knew that if we ended up with a booth, that I would be extraordinarily uncomfortable. I wouldn't fit. And that would make for a very uncomfortable, embarrassing moment. So, they had to go out of their way to do that kind of stuff. As kind as that is, they wouldn't let me be embarrassed by it or feel the consequence of that moment. And so, as kind and sweet as it is, it also wasn't helpful to me from an awareness perspective. I needed to experience more of that frequently. In my last video, I shared a moment where, literally a leg of a chair broke off, and I was in front of my entire team at work, and we were at a restaurant, and we all had a humorous moment in that. What do you do if you're the other person and you see that, and this is a person that you are either friends with or associated with through work or whatever? Like, I mean, you're not going to be a jerk. You're not going to laugh. You laugh with them. At least you portray it like that. But I can go on. I mean, the amount of times that I was somewhere where I was a sweaty mess, and somebody was just like trying to figure out how to help, with the temperature, or go out of their way and grab me a water, because I was like some kind of, like, I crawled off a desert and I was so dehydrated or something. It's like, clearly they felt obliged to have to be sensitive because they didn't want to make it look like they were treating, a handicapped person. But let's be honest, I was on my way to truly becoming handicapped, and in some sense I was, right? But I got myself there. And it all starts up top. It all starts in your head. It's your relationship with food. And so here's my best attempt, and I don't want to act like a know-it-all, but maybe I'm talking to you, maybe you're watching this because you're in that position, but I'm going to pretend like I'm going back and I'm going to talk to myself. So if you receive a message, don't take it offensively. I'm talking to myself a year prior to when I actually decided to get on my diet. I'm 140 pounds down now because I gave myself this speech. And here it is. Every single day you wake up, you convince yourself that you're absolutely fine. You convince yourself that you have the capability of getting a hold of your health, your nutrition, that you're aware of what healthy food is, that you got this, right? And I say that in quotes because I think that's something that we all do all too often, is, I got this, no, don't worry about it, right? I don't need to be lectured to, so on and so forth. No, yes you do. You need the lecture. You need to know what you're doing to yourself. You need to be aware of the fact that you're not just impacting your life, you're impacting the lives of everybody around you. Your friends and family, they want to be able to do things with you. They want to have experiences with you. They don't want those experiences to be that of a person who's struggling with their health. They're out of shape. They're feeling sick constantly. They're avoiding going to family events or public events because they're embarrassed and because they feel anxiety. They don't want to experience that either. But that's what we're putting our friends and family through. So get a hold of yourself. Start being aware of what you need to be accountable for. The idea that your relationship with food has matured to a level of abuse, it's gonna kill you, and you're gonna go through a lot that you don't need to go through if you could just be aware. Not every diet is for everybody. Carnivore diet, the thing that has been most successful for me, that's not going to work for everybody mentally. I would debate that physically, because I think that honestly, from what I've learned in this journey, it's not hard. You gotta get in control of yourself. You've got to place your life. You've got to place the quality of your life and the quality of everybody's life around you in front of what is right in front of you, meaning food, meaning slipping away, being deceitful, telling lies. All of that it is sickening. It is toxic. And you create those habits for yourself. You will have absolutely no problem continuing to make excuses and allowing yourself and enabling yourself. We could point the finger at other people and say that they enabled us because they didn't give us the hard truth. They enabled us because they continued to eat like crap in front of us. They enabled us because they brought the cake home. No, they didn't. No, they didn't, because they didn't shove that food in my mouth. I did. I definitely did. And everybody has to process things differently. This is making a lot of sense to me today because I've made the hard decision, because I feel like maybe I didn't hit rock bottom, but I surely felt like I did. I think rock bottom for me would have been too late. And I'm so grateful that I had the supporting family. I'm so grateful that when I finally admitted what my problem was and I broke down, I remember I cried with my wife and I said, I can't believe I let myself get here. I need the support so that I could do this. Suddenly I had an army around me, and all the people that, in retrospect, if I look back and think that they were enablers, all of them were just waiting for the opportunity or the approval to become the army behind me. And now my friends, my family, we can joke about if there's cookies or something like that. And here's the honest truth: I don't crave any of that anymore. The carnivore diet has saved me, has literally put me in a position where I don't care about any of that anymore. But we can still joke. I was recently in Pittsburgh for my wife's niece's christening, and afterward we had gone to this really nice Italian restaurant that unfortunately didn't have much to offer me because everything there was breaded, everything there was sauced up. So there wasn't a whole lot of options, and it was based on the party menu that they had. But when they were coming to the table to serve the family style offering to the reception part of this, they literally were putting the pizzas and the pastas right in front of my face, and it became a joke at the table because I was like, man, like out of all the people to do this to, here I am sitting here, and it's like, this food is incredible. It smells incredible. We joke about it now, but I'll be honest, if you had served me family style back in the day, I probably would have been looking for whatever was left at the other tables, and then I for sure would have been the first one to jump on the opportunity to get a to-go container and have that go home with me as well for the other leftovers. And so, as awkward as it was in that moment, I had this ability to sit there and be grateful for where I'm at. And my family is that supportive. I'd rather them be inconvenienced, if you will, be inconvenienced by the idea that they will help find other things on a menu. It's almost become like a scavenger hunt at this point, because they'll be like, hey, I saw that they have a good steak, they have a burger, and people are getting excited because of the progress that I've made. So rather than being ashamed to talk to me about my nutrition, what I'm eating, they're now more excited to be a part of that conversation, and they're excited to contribute to it from a support standpoint. So it's been pretty exciting to see how the relationship with me and food, and my family and friends, their relationship with me has transpired in me taking the initiative to change my life. And I am so grateful for everybody around me who's been doing that. And so, listen, if there's anything you can take away from this video, it is that you have to take the first steps. I researched the things. It wasn't just about losing weight. I researched what I needed to do to get rid of inflammation. I needed to get healthy. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go on medicine. I didn't want to take a shot so that I could lose weight. I didn't want to have to get surgery so that it could eliminate my appetite. I feel like we're all human. I don't have all the answers there, but the rational thought in my head was that nutrition is nutrition, and so if I could just eat food like I'm supposed to, then I can get healthy like I should be, and everything else will take place. And I'll write my mental health for it. I'll write my physical health for it, and I'll be in a better place to start making better decisions. And it took 30 days of doing carnivore diet to quite literally change my life. I bet you two weeks, I'd say, but 30 days to really get into it and be confident that I had made the right decision. And I'm happy to say that some of my immediate family, and just this week, and I can cry to tell you about this, but in my last video I mentioned my sister who took me to a vegan restaurant because she was very much plant-based, very much an advocate for that kind of nutrition and living a healthy life. And look, again, that might be for some people. I don't want to preach to you and tell you that carnivore is the only way, right? Because if the first thing you do is just cut out sugars, cut out the carbohydrates, cut out the crap food, meaning starchy carbs and all of that stuff, then you've already made a significant difference in your life. Your processed foods, just eating single ingredient foods, that will already make a huge difference. But I can cry because this past week my sister said to me that she saw some content that I posted out, and after having followed along with my journey for this past year, she's now giving carnivore diet a shot. My sister-in-law, who was also a vegetarian, very plant-based, has now moved over and has become more animal-based and has started asking me if when I go see the farmer if I can get beef for her. If you had any idea how much progress that is, and how touched I am that there's been that kind of influence from it, and all they're doing is telling me how good they feel now. They can't believe that they didn't do this earlier. So I'm saying there's hope, and I'm saying that I hope that I continue to inspire you guys. Not every video will be in a car. It was funny because a friend of mine who knew that I was doing this said, "Oh, well, you're going to be the real carnivore." Funny play on words, but I'm not going to always be in the car doing this. It just so happens that this is where I've had some recent ability to share with you these videos and share with you my thoughts while I'm driving. And so I want to thank you guys for tuning in. There's people that are subscribing. I'm touched by that. I'm honored. I'm going to continue to make content. I want to continue to be honest. My next video, I'd like to share with you some of the things that I did that worked for me in the very beginning stages. I want to show you some of the food that I've made, some of the challenges that I've had, and if any of you have any questions for me, because I know that in the beginning there's so many questions, and sometimes it's hard for some of the influencers that are in this space to get back to you, and so I'm open for anything you want to ask. Please comment. I will respond. I encourage you to do that, but more importantly, I encourage you to make that decision to make a change, get healthy, take the first step, and you will be incredibly surprised at how everybody around you will become your army. And look, if you don't have a lot of people around you, don't rely on food to be the relationship component. It's like the worst influencer in your life. If your relationship with food is that of going to it for comfort, or to put your mind at ease, or to celebrate, that's like the guy that you would go out with, or the person you would go spend time with, that's going to encourage you to do drugs or alcohol and live a shitty, unhealthy life. That's what the relationship with food is like. Instead, recognize food as fuel, recognize it as a resource, learn how it works, understand that being satiated, learn how you get satiated, learn why you're satiated, learn what animal fats do for your system, look into understanding how sugar impacts you, understand what insulin does, how it works, learn that, and that will change your perspective in its own way, because it's like understanding that if you don't take care of your vehicle, if you don't take your car in for service, for an oil change, or you don't do the things you're supposed to do from that perspective, it won't take you too long to find out what's going to happen wrong with your car. And if I asked you why you need an oil change, you would probably say, oh, well, I need it because, blah, 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 I have to change the fluids out, and they got to get rid of the old stuff. We all sort of can easily rationally connect with why we take care of our cars and why you have to do what you do. The same thing goes true for your body, right? So anyway, I've talked long enough in this video. I hope I didn't sound like I was rambling. I hope that this was valuable. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. I appreciate you subscribing. I appreciate the comments. I hope to see some of you in the comments again in this video. Yeah, I'll wrap up for now. Stay tuned for my next video, and yeah, go get healthy.